Okay, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is Skagler Bones. I'm your host. And as you can see here, our mountain bike build is complete. Last video kind of stopped a little bit abruptly. We were having, I kind of ran out of camera space on my card. So I went and got the wheels, as you can see here. We got a set of giant SXC2s. These are sealed bearing wheels. They are not straight pull spokes, but they are pretty good mountain bike wheels. I needed some mountain bike wheels that could handle disc rotors. So as you can see here, we handle disc rotors. They had to be 26 inch, and they need to handle a 9, 10, or 11 speed cassette in the back. So I went over to a local bike shop here and picked these suckers up. Okay, pretty good deal. Pressed the valve. The only thing I had to change out or use differently was the fact that my previous wheels were a Schrader valve, not pressed valve. So I had to get a couple new inner tubes, but those only cost like $5. These wheels are pretty nice. They're a little bit deeper section than what my previous ones are, so they're a little bit heavier duty, a little bit sturdier. So not too bad. Got them as a set. I was only going to buy one, but the only thing they had was one. This was it. That was it. All they had. Okay, so obviously we got the cassette on. It's not a free hub style. It's actual ratchet pawl design wheel, so that worked pretty good. And then off, as I had said before, I wanted to change out the bar and stem, so we went with a shorty stem here with a little bit of a, well, with a rise. The other one was up too high because it came out to about here, and then if it was dropped, it dropped down too low, so I didn't really like it. So I wanted to be raised, but I didn't want to be going out there really far and looking silly. I don't like rise handlebars that much, or rise stems, I should say. So these are riser handlebars, but they are oversized here in the center. Now they did have a shorty stem there, one of the real fat stems, but it was made for the thin handlebars, and I didn't want to use my handlebars since there was some rust on them. In fact, let me go over here and grab the old handlebar stem so you can compare. There's the old handlebars and the old stem. So standard size handlebars, but they rise up. I just don't like this style handlebar. These are steel, very heavy, and the stem was, all the bolts were starting to rust. So for the price of what a stem would cost, or what the set of bolts would cost, I just got a new stem. To change the top bolt, I had an extra one from when I bought the titanium bolts, so I had an extra bolt for that. So I was able to change that out, put in a nice stainless steel in the top where a lot of the water collects. The rest of these are aluminum, so they won't rust. And then, as you can see here, it only had two different handlebars, and it's Cannondale, but it works pretty well. Pretty nice, lightweight. Looks really good. So got that all set up. So this is what it looks like with shift levers. Got our brakes good and adjusted. Put some bar ends on. Got the grips back on. One thing with the grips that you want to do is if you got this white here, you want to get that clean. Use a little WD-40. That'll take it right off. Also, when you putting the grips on, in order to get the grips on easy, you want to spray some stuff in there. And there's two ways to do it. There's two rules. There's two schools of thought. One is to use alcohol, because alcohol evaporates really quickly. Most everything will evaporate, but as you can see here, these aren't moving, and it's pretty tacky on the inside, and that's because if you use WD-40, WD-40 will evaporate, but it makes the rubber a little tacky on the inside, and they stick a little bit better than what the alcohol would. So worked out pretty nice. The only problem is the outside portion of the bars have stretched a little bit, so they're not as good there, but still not a big deal. I can probably clean those up a little bit better. Like I said, got the bar ends on there. Got our saddle readjusted. I dropped the seat on this a little bit just to make it a little bit more comfortable. Originally, when I bought the bike, I was riding with probably the saddle up another inch. Just was very uncomfortable because I was riding more of in a road bike position than because I was riding this bike to work. Also, as you can see on the bottom, took an old inner tube and I wrapped it around there. Put some electrical tape on there, and we got ourselves our chainstay protector. I could buy a chainstay protector for it, but pretty much did the same thing we had here with our James bike, and that'll work pretty good. So, got our chain. Obviously, we got a quick link in there. You can see it did not come with a quick link, but I have extras. I always keep one or two extras. So I had an extra quick link, no big deal. Put that on there. Plus you can buy quick links. So only thing left is throw a water bottle cage on there. Probably just throw a single on there. Put one of my pumps back on here. Probably do that here shortly. I'm not sure if I'll put the Lenzine or the Bontrager. Probably the Bontrager one on there. I think fit a little bit better on here. So that way we got our pump. And then one other thing that I do with the bike, if you notice right here, and I had originally have purchased this for the Jamis, and then as you can see on the Jamis, I had another piece. This guy came in. I wanted the red, the bottom spacer. So what I did is, because this is just all plastic here and I didn't really like the look of it, I had this fully slammed, and then there was I had a lot of spacers up here. So short of cutting the fork down, which I really didn't want to do with this bike, just in case I decide to get rid of it and somebody doesn't want it slammed down that far. So what I did is I put this 10 mil spacer, this 10 mil top cap in, with a spacer underneath it, a very small spacer, like not even a 5 mil spacer. Put it underneath, very thin spacer. Put that underneath there. In fact, I'll show you which size we used. Let's see. I had one that was even thinner than this by like a millimeter, so probably about 4 or 3 millimeter. Really thin spacer. Put underneath. Yeah, this is carbon fiber. That's why I put the other spacer underneath. It would give this one a little support, because this is made for road bikes, not for mountain bikes. And I put that on there, cranked the top cap back on, bolted this down, and then as you can see, I was able to get rid of 2 spacers on the top. So instead of having 4 spacers here, 20 mils of spacers on the top, I got a little bit down here, a little bit up here, and it looks a little bit better. I don't really like the look of the spacers down here, but having the spacer that's flared out, I think looks pretty good. Like I said, this didn't have it. It just had a dust cover, plastic dust cover. Didn't really like the look of it on the mountain bike. So that's pretty much it, folks. As far as anything else, of course, Crank Brother pedals, already had those. Those work great. As you can see here, we're able to get this front derailleur. You can use it as either a top pull or a bottom pull. So if you're normally, a lot of your external routed mountain bikes, they have the cables that come up through the top tube here, come down, and then come down here instead of coming underneath, because you don't want to be getting these dirty with mud and getting them ripped off. So they don't want to put through the down tube. The only time they'll put them in and down the down tube is they're actually running internal routed cabling, and then they'll come up like this. And if it comes up like that, it actually wraps around the bottom side here, wraps all the way around, it comes over here and pulls It's actually, it always pulls from the top. So this guy never pulls down. It always is technically pulling from the top, but I thought it had to come around this plastic piece here and then come down and go into the pinch bolt, but that wasn't true. So I went online. If you ever get one of these group sets and you don't get manuals or books with it, just go online. Shimano online has manuals for all their group sets, even if they've been discontinued. So this Alivio group set, I looked back up the number. This is the 4000 group set. So it's the newest group set. It's the mountain bike equivalent of like a Tiagra group set, and so yeah, it actually told me how to run the front derailleur and actually how to show pictures and stuff of it. So you can find everything online. That's the nice thing with the Shimano stuff, that they got everything online. So obviously kept the original tires. These are the same Kenda tires I had before on the bike, but they'll work fine for now anyways until I decide to go tubeless. So that's probably what would be the next thing, is to go tubeless with this bike. Other than that, I did ride it around a little bit. The only thing I might do is I might cut this cable right here a little shorter. Make it a little bit shorter here. I don't like how this derailleur, that's the only kind of thing I don't like. Normally the derailleurs, they go back. This would flip back a little bit better, but this sticks up. Of course, this cable run here be coming down here. This kind of sticks out just a little bit. So it works fine. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just over time it might start to bind. So I don't know. We'll see how it works. If I don't like it, I'll cut another inch off of this cable here. The cable, or not the cable itself, but the housing itself. And we'll see how that works. But for now, we'll just leave it that way. Rode around with it. Got it all tuned up. Works pretty good. Works pretty great. Really like the performance of the bike. And that's it for me, folks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this set of videos on building a mountain bike. So it goes to show you can build a mountain bike with pretty relative ease. I'll have links to everything in the description below. Obviously the Diamondback Response, I won't have a link to it because it was a purchase through a Dick's Sporting Goods. And I'll show you right here. Back in 2012, they had three main Diamondbacks. They had Diamondback Response, Diamondback Response Sport, Response Comp. Okay, well, this was basically Response Comp frame, and then they called it the XE and put a bunch of cheap group sets on it, a really cheap group set, and it had the same forks. Just a really cheap group set on it. They put the Tecto brakes on it that was on the Response Sport, and of course it was considerably cheaper. It was more along the price range of the Response Sport. Well, actually no. It was in between the price range of the Response and the Response Sport. That's where the price range was. Okay, and that's pretty much what it was. It was an in-between bike between those two that they made just for Dick's, because it had mechanical disc, and it had the mechanical disc, but it had a 7-speed group set, and it was really a cheap group set. Well, like I said, having to take everything off and redoing this build, the only thing we basically kept was the frame and the fork, and the tires and the seat. But other than that, everything else had to be replaced. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the way the build went. Like I said, I'll give you some more videos. Maybe I'll do some trail videos for you to give you an idea how the bike works overall the long haul. So hopefully just wait for more to come. Like I said, if you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Like always, folks, make sure you guys keep riding.